It is so awesome to connect with you again. I so
Oh,
appreciate you doing this, Kelly.
you're welcome. I'm excited
Yeah,
to be here.
great. We are doing these interviews to help people hear about PSYCH-K, not just from the instructors, but from those that have experienced it. So I know you've been through the workshops, you do private sessions, your personal life has shifted. So let's
Yes,
just have a conversation about a variety of things.
sounds
Um,
great.
what is fun to always hear, and I love the stories of how you
Mhm.
found PSYCH-K or PSYCH-K found you.
Yeah,
So what would you like to share, in that arena?
yeah. Well, I'm glad you put it that way because it really, for me, is about Psyche finding me. And I've come to learn, Psyche found me 10 years ago now. I can hardly believe it's been that much time. And, 10 years ago, it was at a time when I just needed it the most. I think Psyche found me at the just right time. And I've come to learn since then that that's really how life works. Life presents itself with all kinds of opportunities. And then we have the free will to choose whether or not to take advantage of those opportunities to learn and grow. And
Right.
so 10 years ago, I was overwhelmed with grief. I just lost my partner of 20 years to cancer. We had two small children, a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and we were all struggling. We were consumed by our grief. And of course, so many people think grief is just one emotion, but grief is so
Yeah.
complex. There are so many emotions attached to it. And so we were just struggling. We were going through the motions. I had returned to work and the kids to school or childcare, but we just were not functioning well, as I've come to realize. My
Yeah, you
back
think you're
was
doing
hurting.
good, but then,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right. I mean, I felt strong. I thought, wow, I'm still getting up in the morning, going to work, and the kids are doing their thing, but it was still a struggle. And, my body was suffering, my back was sore, and I wasn't sleeping, the big circles under my eyes, and the kids too. I couldn't rest. I couldn't even sit still because my grief was just so big. I felt like as if I had sat down that I would succumb to all of the feelings that
yeah,
resided within me. And someone had recommended a facilitator in the area who happened to be a naturopath, but who used Psych-K to support people with grief and other things. And so I kind of sat with the card for a while and then finally, called her up and made an appointment. And of course, it was about the kids first. My daughter wasn't sleeping and was just consumed by fear and all kinds of other emotions, sadness, and all of it. And so, went to that appointment. And after one appointment, my little girl looked up at me at the end of that session and said, Mama, my head's not worrying anymore. And this was just like, to me, like her eyes said it all. That's all I needed, right? That was like an open door to a new adventure for me. It was an open door for me to step in and say, yes, this is what my family needs right now. And so, of course, that was just the beginning, supporting my daughter, supporting my son, and then, decided to gift myself with a few
fine,
sessions.
right?
Finally, with a few sessions and, transform those emotions the way I saw them, right? It's like I needed a new lens to view those feelings with, those emotions with. And by doing that, then I was calmer. I was able to rest, and amazingly, massage after massage after massage to kind of keep me functioning and my back, doing okay. It wasn't until I had done the balances that together with those both modalities was I able to feel some relief and comfort. So I knew that emotions were tied in to how I was feeling on a physical level too.
Yeah,
So, and of course, it just changed the happy energy within our home, and we were able to move forward. It didn't take all the grief away, but it
right,
changed the way we saw it.
right.
And so,
Beautiful. Absolutely.
yeah,
Yep. Ah, amazing.
yeah,
I've never seen your daughter, but I can just see that face and those eyes. And that is
hmm,
so beautiful. Oh,
yeah,
I love
yeah,
children just are so, mommy,
I
They are
know.
so beautiful, so wonderful. I'm so glad that that occurred and you finally made the phone call,
Yes,
to the park.
yes, me too.
You have, from there, you've continued and you've taken many of our workshops, and I know that you've facilitated with other people also.
Yeah.
So I guess the question that a lot of people ask, and everybody has a different way of expressing this, but how do you define Psych-K, or how do you share if somebody says, what is Psych-K? How do you share that?
It's interesting. It's always an interesting question because I think I answer it somewhat different every time. And I think it's because it's the nature of what Psych-K is. I see it as a tool, but it's not just any tool. When you go to a toolbox, you see a hammer for one thing and pliers for something else, but Psych-K is a multi-tool. It's like the ultimate multi-tool because
the ultimate Swiss Army knife. It has everything.
It really is, because as I even mentioned before about how Psych-K found me, it crosses so many domains, right? It supports my mental health, it supports my emotional well-being, it supports my physical health, it's my spiritual health. It's just multifaceted. So that's definitely like a number one way of me describing it. But it's also something, it is so easy to learn, it's so efficient, and it sustains, it has a sustaining effect in your life. Balances that I did 10 years ago still are present in my life today. And so that's when that is the ultimate tool, the ultimate multi-tool. And I can reach for it. That's the other thing. I can reach for it whenever I need it and wherever I need it. I can be laying down and not even get out of bed yet and still use my tool. I can be, sitting somewhere at the park. I can be walking. There's different uses, and I can use it anywhere whenever I need it. So that's pretty special.
I love that description of it. Absolutely. I mean, and that's one of the beautiful things about going to the workshops is that you learn how to use this. And so you're independent. I mean, a lot of people talk about empowering, but that really is what this boils down to is you've got your independence, sovereignty, your freedom to use it whenever, wherever you want. So thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. And there's also the beautiful opportunity to have private sessions with people, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But so you shared about this beautiful transition that happened with the grief with your children and yourself. Is there anything else you want to share? That people love stories. So is there any other succinct story that you can share from yourself or your family or someone you worked with around the impact of Psych-K?
Sure. I mean, even just continuing for myself, following, having some sessions for myself and for my children, I feel like shedding some of those layers and being able to view the world and view my emotions a little differently opened me up to new opportunities, and shortly thereafter, I met and fell in love again, which was really beautiful, and married my now husband, Victor. And, we have 2 additional children. So our beautiful family has grown. And so that's been really wonderful. And I do attribute that to, partly the benefits of working through Psych-K and some of the things that I needed to take care of for myself. And it also spread the word. So I've been able to talk to many friends and family and use that to support other people. It's been an amazing journey, even just since the pandemic began almost 2 years ago now. I started off by gifting sessions for people. That was my initial part of the journey, just wanting to do my part to help others. I knew that there were lots of people who were really struggling with fear, primarily, and other things too. And it's been incredible to see people able to step out of that fear and to be able to just achieve some greater peace and happiness in their life. And just not be so confined. It really has confined a lot of people. And so that's freed people up, I think, quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that confinement, it often is our mental perception around things confined us. And with the beautiful work of PSYCH-K and the balances, which are the change processes, it does free us to see things in a broader perspective and to see opportunities that we didn't see before. So
that's right.
Thank you for your gift of that.
Well, there were people even who, hadn't been out of the house, for example. That's how big their fear was. And, even after 2 sessions, they were getting outside and riding a bike and going for a walk and, connecting with other people. So when you hear that feedback, that it's made such a difference, it just really has an impact on you too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the other questions that often comes up is we have conversations around people prior to private sessions, but we'll talk about workshops. So prior to doing a workshop, or maybe it's in your case because you did the private session first, were there any doubts or questions, or you're like, yeah, as if this could work? Was there any of that for you? I mean, we want to keep it real about how people think about this. So any feedback with that?
It's interesting. It's not so much about doubting that it could work because, again, my children's eyes said it all, and seeing how much of a difference it made for them really spoke volumes. But for me, I doubted that I would have the time. That's what it was. I thought, what, I can't possibly, I'm far too busy. I've got a full life here. My family is, big and busy, and my job, I'm an elementary school principal. So I've got a full plate. And so trying to fit that in too. And what I realized is that I can't afford to not give some time to something like this. It's an investment.
Right.
It's an investment in myself. And I think even if it just stopped there, that would be worth the time. But it's an investment in my family. And then I've come to learn an investment in my future and being able to support other people as well.
Right. And thank you. And it's an investment also in the collective consciousness. I mean, as we shift, we're part of influencing, the consciousness that impacts everybody globally. So so it's multi-layered investment. Yeah.
We're a whole lot more connected than we ever thought, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. So is there anything that you found challenging around PSYCH-K?
Sometimes I think it took me some practice to explain PSYCH-K to other people, because it had such a profound effect on me. And I was just so open at the time to anything that could possibly help my family, especially my children. I was really open. But, if you're just explaining it to PSYCH-K, explaining PSYCH-K to someone, sometimes that can be difficult. And so it's taken a little bit of practice, for me to feel really comfortable, and I guess to really know the people that I'm speaking to, so that I know the right words that'll just kind of, strike a note with them, something that I know is going to resonate and be meaningful to them, that might open a door of opportunity that they could take and step into to learn for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Yeah. And like you opened with, it's a multifaceted tool. And so coming up with the languaging, we recommend people find their own path with that, because how I say it, and I agree with you, I say it probably different every time. And part of that is there's a rising of our own intuition as you do more of this work, and I shouldn't even call it work. So as you do more of these transformational processes, it cleans out things so that we get a sense of the language we should use with someone to help them. And we certainly don't, I know you and I both don't oversell this. It's an invitation for people to experience something they've struggled with, and an invitation to see if there's a different way to approach it. So
that's right. Yeah. And I think one of the challenges too, because of my line of work, is, I work with a lot of children. And so quite oftentimes when they're struggling in a classroom environment, a teacher will often give me a call and say, can you just have a little chat with this little one? And some you usually find, they're just really struggling with a bunch of feelings, right? And the feelings are a great indicator that there's something there that just needs to shift out of the way so that they can function and be a little more clear-minded and able to move forward with what they need to. So adjusting your language for children, children take to PSYCH-K really well. They're incredible and they really like it. It's empowering for them, right? Exactly. This is a tool they can grab onto easily and use. So yeah, but you definitely, it comes with practice. I see PSYCH-K very much as a practice. And the more you do, the better you become. And I think the more that you share it with others and explain it to others, the clearer the message becomes too for the people you're talking to.
Well, yes, and there's an alignment, an integrated alignment that occurs within us as we're doing this. There's this deeper connection. So it flows through us, and not just in the words, but just energetically. Like, I want some of what you got, whatever that is.
Yes. Well, and it's funny that you say that, because I think that's what people have said they've noticed the most about me. And that's why I've had some, staff at my school who've come to the workshops afterwards, because they've said, I want some of what she's got, and they've seen me as much calmer, much more centered. And, that's such a great feeling to have and to hold, right? To know that you can easily be very centered and calm in the midst of what might not be a very calm environment, Right,
exactly. So, amazing. Beautiful. Thank you. So I know you do private sessions. Why don't you verbally share your website, and then we'll also have it in the notes with the.
Sure. My website is www.soaringintentions.com. So, and my email is really easy. It's kelly@soaringintentions.com. So yes, Beautiful. I do private sessions, and most of it is just like we're doing here virtually. And I love very much meeting and working with people from all over. It's been a great experience. So
beautiful. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much
Welcome.
for your time and your sharing and your beautiful message. So I appreciate